Hello, sports fans. Frank here. I wanted to record a short video and talk a little bit about how I'm planning on teaching my motion offense. And I like to think of my motion offense a lot like jazz music. There's very much freestyle, but there's a formula to it. Um, but at the same time, it's just a framework for players to do whatever they want, however they want, and and it gives them sort of a blank canvas to paint on, so to speak. And I have a clip here from my recent film, The Physics of the Soul, from Garrett Modell. He's a PhD scientist at University of Colorado in Boulder, where he talks about how he learned how to play jazz from a very experienced jazz pianist. So watch this, and then I'll finish up in a bit.
Yeah, we're doing things wrong. But but look, so I took a course once on jazz piano, and in the first lecture, the instructor, who was a great jazz pianist, said the way that you learn jazz piano, it goes through three stages. The first stage is that you just sit down and you play, and you play and you play and you listen and you play. Then he said the second stage is you go and you learn the theory, and you learn the basic theory and understanding and the chord structures and everything else. And then he said the third stage is forgetting the second stage and going back and playing, but you're doing it on a deeper level. And I think that we're sort of doing that now. We started with a understanding of the world as being consciousness based. This is ancient. Then we came to this materialistic view. We're sort of learning the mechanistic theory with this materialistic view. Now we're on the verge of saying, wait a minute, consciousness is in fact the basis of reality, but we're going to do this on a profounder level now.
So does that make sense? Uh, if we can get this team together, and I'm sure hoping we can, I've gotten a lot of really good emails, and there's a lot of interest in the region from Knoxville, Nashville, Lexington, and beyond. Not sure exactly where we're going to land yet. Maybe we'll do a rotation between those three cities. Um, but in any event, what I'd like to do is exactly what Garrett just said, which is basically lay down um, some ground rules. Um, Basically, you just teach the basics, and then for several weeks, just play and you play and you play and you play and you play. And I'll be giving some guidance as okay, you're veering outside of the framework. Stay here within these, um, these guidelines. So the first maybe month or so, or maybe even two, will be just getting familiar with a different style and just having fun within the guidelines, within the structures of what I'm trying to accomplish. And then we're going to learn the scales and learn the theory and learn the choreography. And, um, I literally have a drill called ball breaker where, I mean, I'm not trying to push anybody's buttons, but in order for you to unlearn some of the things you've learned over the years and to learn a new system, this drill that I came up with is very effective and very quick at getting everybody onto the same page of a certain tectonic, not tectonic, what are those called? Scales, musical scales. I like to play the blues. So it's just like blues, but it says, okay, we're going to play in this key, or we're going to play in that key, or we're going to play in that key, and all you have to do is learn the notes of those keys, and that's basically what it's going to be. And then the third stage, like Garrett says, is where we forget all the theory that we learned in the second stage and get back to just playing, but we're going to play at a much deeper level. Um, and I wanted to share that with you. I just was reminded of that clip that he spoke about in my film. And by the way, I recommend everybody to go watch The Physics of the Soul. It makes a very good case for how consciousness is fundamental to existence and blah, blah, blah. All of genius stuff, of course. Uh, but I think this is the right approach because we're learning something that's like jazz music. It's formless and yet there's a form to it. And it allows for freestyle, but at the same time, you're going to be playing with other musicians, and so there has to be a framework for everybody to play together. I hope that makes sense. And again, Please spread this video and Dogs and Baskets episodes 14 and 15, where I speak with Robert Taylor about all the ideas and about putting together this team. Um, and send me any info or questions you have, or if you want to get involved. At the end of, at the comments section, or the description under episode 15 is a link to a flyer that Robert had made, a Google document on asking questions and submitting your main name and ideas and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, just spread this around widely. This will be a lot of fun. It changes Ultimate, but in a really, really good way, in a way that's more intellectually stimulating, more entertaining to watch, more fun to play. Um, it's just all around a different paradigm, and it's much more of a basketball-esque kind of paradigm. I mean, the triple threat principle from basketball is 100 years old. It's not nothing new that I've invented. It's just applying a principle from another sport, and by adding in dribbling into Ultimate as a viable tactic, it allows us to use this 100-year-old principle from basketball, and it works very well. But getting a group of 20 guys to orchestrate, I'm using the word orchestra intentionally in the analogy that Garrett came up with. Um, it's going to take some time to get a bunch of musicians on the field all making beautiful music together. I hope that makes sense. So let's do this. Lexington, um, Knoxville, Nashville, someplace in eastern Tennessee or north or eastern Kentucky, somewhere up there. Louisville's a little too far for me. Nashville's actually too far too, but we'll see what happens. And if anyone knows a winter or an indoor facility we can use over the next few months in any of those places or beyond, give a shout out so we can figure out a place we can do this, irrespective of what the weather's going to be. Okay, well this is fun. Stay tuned. It's going to be very exciting. Peace.